production. Sound production. Sound production.
Good evening, gentlemen. It is your boy, Sir Yeetus, and welcome to episode 177 of Yeetus' Thoughts. Right now, I see 2022 as a big shift in how society conduct themselves when it comes to the interaction with men and women. I personally believe because of the help of various channels within the last 9 to 10 years on YouTube or other social media platforms. The red pill, MGTOW, black pill, whatever it is, it has gone worldwide, not in the States, not just in Europe. I'm talking about around the world. And at this point, it's got to the point where it is this message is getting to younger and younger generations, especially the ones that are in high school. Believe it or not, yeah, there are people that are listening to channels like ours or listening to Andrew Tate. They are listening to what we're trying to say when it comes to the dynamics of the dating market, of how one-sided it is, of how men get little to nothing, and women expect everything. Okay, So now it's gone to the point where now there is a huge influx of men getting their passports. And we've been talking about passports for years, but the last couple months, more and more men, okay? It doesn't matter what your background is, more and more men in the United States are immediately getting their passports and venturing out overseas to see what other type of women are out there. And more likely than not, they're having a way more successful time out there than they are in the West. And countless PUAs and countless model women, right? And when I say model women, I'm not even talking about model women that actually are attractive. No, I'm talking about the unattractive women that actually like fucking bulldogs, like like outright below average, are so offended. These type of women are so offended that the women that the men that they claim that they're lame, men that they claim that they're weird, men that are too nice, all of them are going out there to venture out to Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Germany. I ain't talking about Western Germany. I'm talking about Eastern Germany, Austria, certain parts of Russia, just so they can finally get a woman that can appreciate their masculinity. And now there is a crusade against these very type of men that got their passports. Yes, gentlemen, there is a crusade that's going on against these very type of men. Just because these men are like, you know what, these women in the West don't want me, I'm gonna see where non-Western women are at. Let's see if they want me instead. There's a whole crusade right now that's going on against these men. And how ironic, right? The very same men that these women talk trash to, down, degrade, demean, now they're pissed off that these very same men that they talk shit about are venturing off somewhere else. Ain't that some shit? But guess what? Shaming tactics aren't working anymore. It's not working whatsoever. And a lot of women, I've been seeing it too. A lot of women out there, they're looking kind of nervous. They're looking kind of nervous right now because it's not just the internet. Real life, men are just not giving a fuck no more. They're not. I definitely don't. Like the fuck. Not only that, you can easily screw me over if you wanted to. If I was in a relationship, you will demonize men like me for having any type of standards, any type of values for myself. It's crazy out there, gentlemen. But before we begin, before we begin, I am going to say, hey, if you want to support your boy Sir Yeetus, link on top of the chat, Cash App / Sir Yeetus. Best possible way to donate. The money goes directly to me. You can do super chat or super thanks. Any other donation, hey, I appreciate any donation, okay? Because you're investing in the channel. But if you can't donate, it's no big deal. No big deal. All right. Donating is up to you. But let me invite the one, the only, Grey Ghost. What's going on, Grey Ghost?
Good evening. Oh, heck of a week.
Yeah, this week has been great for me. How about you?
Almost died again, actually.
Died again? Like what? On the job?
Oh yeah. Took over half a ton to my back. I am lucky to not be paralyzed or quadriplegic right now.
Damn, bro. Like, what? You going above and beyond, or what happened?
And just bullshit accident on the job site, but got out with a couple fucking scrapes and bruises. Didn't even miss a day of work.
Fuck that. I'm just seeing people left and right. You kill me. You gonna give me money? You gonna give me money? Your wife is gonna give me money. Like, I'm suing everybody. Holy shit, bro. That's crazy. At least you it didn't go too crazy with your current injuries, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
no,
it didn't.
I'm on light duties right now, so it's all good.
Okay, cool. All right, because I know how it feels to keep working when you're not able to work. I know that's the life of the military, gentlemen. Don't fuck. As long as you're breathing, you can do some heavy duty. They'll just pump you up with drugs. That's it. Um, let me go ahead and put on this bad boy because I know it's not gonna be the same if I don't do this. Give me a second. Let me go ahead and do this. Bam! All right, I brought it back, gentlemen. I know it's been a while, but it's back. So, Grey Ghost, when it comes to shaming of men right now in 2022, have you noticed, or on social media or in real life, of men just like not giving a fuck anymore?
Yeah, and actually, I was thinking about it a bit earlier when this topic was up, and I kind of want to do a deeper dive on shaming itself and why it's not working.
Okay.
So, first of all, getting into the root of why is shaming used at all? Because it is used in addition to physical punishment. Like, the idea is to discourage someone without making them suffer the direct societal consequences. Like, if you can shame someone for being a thief, then you can prevent more people from being thieves. It's all meant to guide behavior away from the negative consequences.
Yeah,
And you'll see in very like rigid societies, the shaming and the punishment can go to very extreme circumstances. But it's all done in the it's the stick to guide people. It's the shock collar, it's the negative reinforcement. But at the same time, for it to work in the long term, it has to actually benefit people. And that's where the current shaming tactics is. Like, when shame is good, like, let's say, slut shaming, fat shaming, like, you want someone to think twice before making the kind of decision that would have them be shamed for that kind of action. You want someone to go, hey, you know, maybe the pleasure that I get from eating this doesn't offset the ugly stares that people give me. Or, hey, you know, maybe I don't want a reputation as a very loose individual. Maybe I don't want to be known as a shitty lock. Like, those are the kind of things that will deter certain behaviors. And but the thing is, that's good for a group in the long run. When you have that kind of standard in society, well, you don't get as many fat people, which means you have more healthier, productive members of society, and you have a lower burden on the Medicare industry. Like, same with slut shaming, you get more stable families, less adultery, less STDs. So that's where it's useful. But what's happened now is shaming has just been used to get people to go and obey others, but to their own detriment. People don't benefit in the long term from this shaming. Because, like, the cycle as I've seen it is, Men do an action that is beneficial to them. They are shamed for it. And they go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this action, or I should do this other action that I'm being told to do. They do that, and they actively suffer for it. And the pain of the suffering offsets the pain of the shame. It's like, what does it hurt more, to suffer the consequences of following the shaming, or to suffer the shaming? And men just go, you know what? Fuck it. I will take some ugly stares in exchange for keeping my life and livelihood together.
See, and that's a big thing that I wanted to talk about on Ego Part 2, which I will talk about it anyway. You know, uh, women, they don't feel ashamed if society doesn't shame them in the first place. Like there's nobody out there telling, hey, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. Maybe one or two people, but who gives a fuck about the one or two people if there's thousands of people praising her for being a 304? So completely opposite scenario compared to what's happening 100 years ago, right? Like bad things will happen if a woman is out there being promiscuous or displaying herself as being a promiscuous 304. But now today, right, you are rewarded for being being loose, being a 304, being just, fuck all man, fuck this, fuck that. I'm gonna go spread ego in my legs. I'm gonna show my puniti to the world, and I'm gonna get paid for it. I'm gonna get awards for it. I'm gonna get fame for it.
Well, we have to keep in mind who are the arbiters of shame. Who is the primary portion of the population that enforces shaming? Is it men or women?
Good question. I do not know exactly. It could. What do you say? What do you say?
I say it's women. As men will, by and large, just be like, live and let live. Yes, there's the simps, but like, women are the ones who have that hive mind preference. They are the ones who shame. When women, who, let's be honest, those are the ones who experience the most pressure for shame and praise, they primarily listen to other women. Whereas men, like what we're saying, one way or the other, if a woman disagrees with us, like, she can just straight up ignore us or say whatever bullshit
until negative consequences comes in. But that's
the thing. Negative consequences come from a man's actions, not his words.
Yeah, his enforcement. Yeah.
Like, so by and large, like, a man can say, well, you shouldn't sleep around, but if that same man will marry a porn star, then it doesn't matter that he's shamed. His actions have proven the opposite, that it's completely irrelevant.
I agree. You're definitely not wrong when it comes to that. That's why. And I was thinking, once again, when you asked that question, I was thinking about that one woman. I'm assuming it's a Game of Thrones or somewhere else, where she was going throughout the town, ringing the bell, saying "shame, shame, shame." I forgot which show that was. I'm pretty sure.
That was Game of Thrones. It was Cersei's punishment for being an adulterous lech and fucking her brother.
Yeah, I'm like, why can't we just bring that back? Like, fuck. Like, okay, gentlemen, I'll explain it, and I'm sure Gray would agree. Women are very social creatures. Okay, they're very social. They really depend their livelihood on how they interact with their surroundings. So if their surroundings aren't agreeing with what they're doing, for example, if the woman is being loose, or if the woman is being a cheater, and then society's like, "Hey, that's not cool. You don't do that. Hey, what are you doing? That's fucked up." A lot of women these days will be singing a different tune. Well, what do you have to
and
say about that,
that's
Gray?
and that's the thing. Well, first of all, there's two major factors that are contributing to this. Number one, older women who are single. They want to eliminate the competition. So they will shame younger women for not being like them. They want younger women to destroy everything that a man will value in them because that eliminates the competition, or at the very least puts them on an even playing field.
I completely agree with that one, and we see countless examples of the women that's in the late 30s or older on social media proclaiming to be dating coaches, or just women that think they know the answers to having a successful honestly, it's not even trying to get a successful relationship. They're giving out information to the younger women on how to finesse men in their lives. It's not even trying to get into a committed relationship. They're like, hey, if you want to get the most money out this man, hey, if you want to get this man to take you out on these dates, this is what you need to do. It's nothing about trying to build a very strong family. It's crazy. That's why I tell people, why are you listening to these women, not only on YouTube, but let alone these women that comes into the quote unquote manosphere, and you're gonna listen to their advice? They're only here to finesse you, gentlemen. How many times do I have to explain that it is in their biological imperative to manipulate you? It- they can't help it. The only way they can navigate through life for survival, not just survival, but to thrive in said environment, they have to manipulate you. So why are you listening to these women when it comes to dating advice?
Like, let's be honest, a 30 plus year old divorcee or single woman or single mother trying to give this kind of dating advice is the same as an ugly man trying to tell you how to get a hot chick with no money and just game. It's the same scam.
Well, like these PUAs.
Precisely. Now, exactly. It's basically because let's be honest, the trade in a relationship is sex, i.e., fertility. But basically, men want sex, they pay money for sex. Women want money, they exchange sex for money. Now, yes, women do like sex and men do like money, but they're exchanging one for the other in a transactional relationship. So the female dating coach is trying to tell you how to get maximum money out of a man for minimum investment of sex. And the PUA is trying to tell you how to get maximum sex out of a woman for a minimal investment of money.
I agree. Either way, it is not good and it's very horrible when it comes to long term. And don't get me wrong, I preach all the time. It is highly advisable to not have a serious relationship in the West. But if you are still looking for a serious relationship, don't you dare listen to these PUAs and these fucking old, fat, shriveled, dusty eggs women when it comes to dating advice. Don't you dare, because it
Like,
is not going to end well for both parties.
like at the end of the day, you got to understand that a relationship is a negotiation. Now, like, let's say you're entering into a negotiation. Fuck, what's a good example here? you're entering into a negotiation between two countries, let's say, and you want the resources of that country. Do you think that you're going to stand a better chance if you have a resource that they lack, or if you have jack fucking shit and you're in debt?
You have a resource that they lack.
Yeah.
You
like, do you have something that, I guess you think you're going to be able to get what you want out of them easier if you have something that they want that can be traded for, or if you have absolutely nothing and you're basically begging for charity?
You have something that they want that's in high demand.
Yeah. That's the thing. You need to have leverage at the negotiating table. And in this day and age, once a marriage...
Okay.
That's the thing. But in a marriage,
I was just saying, is that
a man...
that problem? When it comes
the problem is that... The problem is that in a long-term relationship, men have no leverage.
Long-term, when you mean long, you mean marriage, right?
Yeah, primarily marriage, though, depending on the laws, even a long-term relationship can get you tied down.
True, common law marriage, is it?
But let's be honest. Yeah, but like, let's be honest. If a woman even knows your face and name, do you have any counter weapon against the false accusation?
No, you do not.
Precisely. You have no leverage as a man. It's like if the other side has a gun and you don't, like, do you really get to say no to the person with a gun if you have nothing? Nothing to defend yourself with?
No, not really. No, you don't have nothing. You don't have a say. You don't have a say.
And that's why the relationships are fucked. Because men have absolutely no leverage at the negotiating table. As soon as a woman knows your face, she can start extracting stuff from you immediately. And the more committed you get, the more leverage you give her.
Okay, so that's a good analogy when it comes to the marriage and divorce courts. And not just that, just in general, when it comes to the dating market today, the woman doesn't even know who you are. She can somehow, some way, depending on the state, can extract resources from you if she pins a baby on you. That's one of many ways. But she doesn't have to know who you are.
Yeah, like, honestly, if a woman if a woman has any clue who you are, she technically can fuck you over.
Yep. And that actually happened, and I'm sure you guys know as well, chat, where a man never met this woman ever in his life, and he was still on the hook for child support. But how fucked up is that?
Let's be honest. If you wanted to 100% keep yourself safe, you'd basically have to cut off all interaction with women, period. Like, that would be the only way to keep yourself 100% safe, and that's completely unfeasible.
So what you're saying is pretty much monk mode for the most part.
That's the thing. Like, it would be the most extreme of monk modes.
You have to go to the mountains and shit. Yeah, that type of extreme.
Yeah, like you'd have to live way off in the middle of ass fuck nowhere, do work more or less under a pseudonym, and just pay your bills and taxes so that you stayed below the government radar.
And people still don't think that it's pretty uncanny that Mike Pence himself said, hey, don't leave yourself alone with a woman. Don't leave yourself in a room with a woman by yourself. Mike Pence, the vice president. Like,
yeah.
If he's saying that shit, That is a big deal. It's a pretty big deal in my opinion. I know he's married, but married or not,
Well,
he gave. Oh, what's up?
that's the second layer of defense is like a social shield. Because if you are like I've never been alone with a woman, like I've only ever been alone with a woman who's my wife, that gives you a social shield. And so it's much harder for a false accusation to stick in that way.
Agreed. And not just Mike Pence. I know other men. They bring wives with them wherever they go, per se. Just in case there's no bullshit happening. Not where I'm at, but other liberal areas such as, San Diego, Seattle, New York. A lot of places out here where women, yes, women will take advantage immediately if they had the chance. And they know this. Women know this. And I told you guys before in the chat, women will not hesitate. Right? Here I'm going to explain. Shaming is part one. Part two, they will go out of their way to ruin you. Not only if they're scorned, but just because it's amusing to them. It's funny. Yes, it happens. Yeah. It's like I didn't believe it either. I did not believe it either years ago. But the things that I've seen, women literally do it because it's funny to them. Holy fuck. That was one of the biggest red pill moments I've ever had to deal with. Like, they will literally go out of their way to fuck you over, right? And not just any man, right? Because any man, they don't give a fuck about any man. I'm talking about the men that they were possibly rejected by, right? They will ruin them off of false allegations or just spreading some crazy ass rumors because it is hilarious to them, funny. They like to see you squirm.
And that's
I know you know.
And that's exactly why the shaming tactics don't work, because it's like men experience pain. Like, let's go with the Me Too movement happens. A bunch of men get falsely charged with a whole bunch of shit. No recourse, no repercussions. And so they adapt and are like, well, I'm not even going to take the chance. I'm going to make sure that I've got cameras on me at all times. I'm not going to be alone with a woman. I'm not going to go on any sort of date or one-on-one with a female co-worker, etc. And that's when the women bring out the shaming tactics. And then the men go, you are not even willing to listen to the shit that is happening to us. You utterly dismiss our concerns for it. You're just telling us to do it and insulting us if we don't. That, I think, was probably the biggest contributor to breaking down the shaming, because that is where men have undeniable proof that this shaming is not for their own long-term benefit. Because notice how when women have gone into this stuff, it is never about how the men will benefit. Never about, hey men, by not advancing women, you're actually holding yourselves back. Seriously, women could have gotten so much more mileage out of it if they just found some kind of bullshit way to frame mentoring a woman as somehow advancing a man's career. It would have been so easy to do that. That's all they needed to do, but they couldn't even do that much.
I agree. I definitely agree with that one. A lot of people in the chat is like saying facts, Gray. Of course, Gray is speaking facts. Of course. When is he not speaking facts? Oh, speaking of that, it's random. Sidetrack. Your last video with Chris Mitchell, that shit was intense, bro. I was like, oh my god, like is things good or not? Because you guys are going like back and forth, like, whew, it was something that I had to keep my eye on. It was like a male version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, in my opinion.
Nah, Chris and I just have very, very different ideologies. And I could go into like kind of a side tangent rant on that, but it's not really the main topic here.
No, it's true. That's what I said. It was just a side note. But at the end of the day, let's go ahead and read Silas Larson's $4.99 donation. Thank you very much, man. I greatly appreciate it. He says shaming is useful to nudge people who are selfish, carefree at the expense of others to conform socially. It's often gentler than just using the stick. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Right. I see shaming as a warning. What about you, Gray?
Yeah, shaming is meant to, it's very much a preventative measure. You make an example out of people and publicly discourage others from following like in their actions. Like that's very much why public hangings used to be a thing.
Public hangings like a deterrent, right? It's a deterrent to not do the crimes that that person that got hanged did. Am I wrong? Oh, no. Gray's probably gone right now. Hold up. Let's go read this one right quick. G Smith Studio, $2 donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, bro. Will we have heard of Jesus if he got married? That's a random question, but I will say yes. We will still hear of him. Yes. Because according to the Bible, his miracles is still his miracles. So unless he gets distracted by his married life, I see where you're coming from. But if he still went out and did his thing, he'll still be known.
Honestly, here's where I'd actually disagree with that. Actually, I don't think we would have heard of him quite as much because
before we continue, Muhammad was married, right? And that's in the Quran, right? Muslim, right? He's still very known as well. He's the second biggest religion today. So I just had to put that there, right? You know, just because the prophet, right? Because I'm not going to disrespect them. The prophet gets married doesn't mean that they don't have significant impact when it comes to religion. So I still say
here's the thing. Like my knowledge of the Quran, I would say, is limited. But my understanding is that first you had Judaism, and then you had Christianity, which grows out of Judaism, and then you had Islam, which grew out of Christianity.
Yeah, Abrahamic religion, right?
Yeah, but specifically the order.
Yeah.
Would you even get Islam without Christianity in the first place?
Nope.
That's not. So I think I'd see it as very much a different context because Christianity, like in order for Jesus to be remembered, like he had to do a lot of work. He had to like go around, travel to a lot of different places, build up his disciples, and create a massive network. Not to mention, like, he left no heirs as well.
Wait, are you sure the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran are just an updated revision of the monotheistic religion or Abrahamic?
My understanding is, like, one of the key differences
Right.
between the three is that when Jesus came along, he was very much like, there's going to be other prophets after me, and you're going to have to keep looking and updating and evolving. Whereas with Muhammad, it was like, I am the last one. I am the final prophet. There is none after me.
Well, would you say there's any other prophet beyond Muhammad at that point? Just because beyond Muhammad, there isn't really that many other people. Maybe Nostradamus, but besides that, there's not really that many people that can say, hey, I'm a prophet from God because the book said so. I know we went to religion chat. I know, but we gotta talk about this.
Yeah, and apparently my knowledge on this chat's disagreeing with it. And honestly, without sources, I don't feel comfortable making additional assertions on this.
True, we do need to bring up like a shit ton of sources. Like, not gonna lie, like this is what my knowledge says, but I could be wrong too. I could be wrong. So I will literally have to do like in-depth research.
Yeah.
Because
So, and like, as for there being like none in the modern era, well, this is the thing with Jesus and why I think him not being married was very important. I don't think that Christianity would have grown as big. And if Christianity hadn't grown as big or been as influential, then it never would have become such a powerhouse that Rome would have decided to make it the official religion. And it would have died out being a series of minor cults. And we might have dominant Judaism, or we might be sticking with the Roman pantheon into this day.
who made it bigger? Was it Constantine?
Yeah, Constantine. He was the one who like took a whole bunch of different cult texts and decided to combine those with the Roman pagan stuff in order to create what we understand as the Bible during the Council of Nicaea. If I'm remembering this correctly, there's probably far more biblical scholars in the chat than myself on this.
Oh, it's all good. Let me address this right quick. Subject Grinch, Islam has zero in common with Christianity. That's where you're wrong. It has definitely a good amount of common theme with Christianity and Judaism. That's why they say the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, they're all from the Abrahamic religion.
Yeah, like they all worship the God of Abraham. So, like, they're all cut from the same cloth. They are not separate religions.
That's why it's mad annoying, in my opinion. Like, especially throughout thousands of years and back in the day with the Templars, with the Muslim warriors, with the Crusades, 3 Crusades, I think it was. You guys are fighting over the same fucking God. What the fuck are you doing? It's me.
And I'm just popping to Wikipedia for this. So, yeah, Christianity splits from Judaism in first century, and then Islam's founded in the 7th century. Christianity was adopted as the Roman state religion in the 4th century.
I completely agree. The only difference, in my opinion, the only big difference from the Bible and the Quran or Christianity to Islam is people see Jesus as God, see Jesus as the Lord, the Holy Trinity, but In Islam, people see Jesus as just a prophet. He's a god. And that's where
Yeah,
a lot
and
of the
that
arguments comes.
oh yeah, no, that's actually been a major schism even amongst different factions of Christianity. Like, was Jesus a man, or was Jesus literally God incarnate on earth?
Personally, me and myself, Sir Yeetus, I don't see how it makes sense how God will make himself a man just to kill himself to become God again. Like, I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's weird to me.
I, well, here's the thing. I actually kind of understood it from a Sandman story of all things, where like death didn't understand people, so so instead death chose to separate a part of themselves to live as a human and live a human life, and so gain compassion and understanding for mortals.
Give me 1 second. You need to learn the theology. Theology of what? Abrahamic religion, Greek, Roman, Japanese, African, Chinese. Which one? There's countless theologies out there. The earliest I know about is Sumerian, right? The Epic of Gilgamesh. That's the one that I know.
So,
Oh,
like
I
that's the
think
thing. Like religion's something that religion's something that people, even with years of experience and research under their belts, are still debating back and forth.
yeah, we're wrestling some jimmies in the chat right now.
And religion is one of those things that's always going to wrestle jimmies because it's always very personal to people.
Yeah, and which is fine, right? But it's crazy how I can have crazy conversations with a Jew, with a Hindu, with a Jew, like another Jew, with a person that is a Satanist, a person that believes in the flying spaghetti monster, a person that's a fucking Jedi. Yes, a Jedi. And we can have civilized conversations, right? Thank God that I wasn't back in the day where I'll literally have to hack off a shit ton of heads to get my point across. Like, no.
Now, keep
Why
in
can't we
mind
just sit
though,
down
like
and have a
that's,
conversation?
but that's the thing. But that's where part of like the thing with shame actually comes full circle here. Religion was the primary tool that established the standard for shaming. Like right now, we live in a cosmopolitan, multicultural society where you can have like Christians, Muslims, and Jews all like living next to each other. That shit was not happening 500 years ago. The only time that a Christian and a Muslim met was on the battlefield.
You there?
Why am I not coming through?
No. You there now? I at the end.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, yeah, and maybe 500 years ago was in this, but like, God, when the hell were the Crusades? I don't know. You go back like 800 plus years. Yeah, the only time that a Christian and a Muslim met and spoke is if they were screaming at each other as they were killing each other.
True. I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
but that's when you had a more homogenous society. You had standards for the rules. When you have this mass tolerance of all sorts of different beliefs, you get the modern system where like all that happens is the people will adapt to whatever belief system best suits them at the moment. There is no standard, there is no unity. When you see these groups like I believe it's the Hindus and the Muslims fighting in the UK right now, like there's a reason that it's along religious lines there. Like the race and religion is completely linked together because that is the common set of values that they all hold. That's the common shaming framework that unifies them.
That is true. I agree, and a lot of people they truly do believe that religion is a overall shaming tactic, in the sense of you should know what's right from wrong type situation.
And that's the thing. Like, so if you had to ask, like, what's our modern framework for shaming in the modern day?
Oh, if you make less than $100,000 a year, if you're less than 5'11" inches, if you are a lame or a nerd, if you try to stop a woman from running around butt naked on the internet, that's when you're shamed.
That's the thing. It's the tech, like the tech companies, like Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. That's the modern church, and the past and the priests are the fucking moderators. The internet is where we go for religion nowadays. And let's be honest, like we even hold these kinds of standards in our own communities here. Someone starts simping in chat, we enact shaming tactics and we'll even expel people.
But that's the difference. We actually have legitimate reasons to shame. Women, they only shame when they don't like what they hear.
That's the thing, but the women, they don't like what they hear, but it's also backed up by the tech overlords. The tech overlords just know, based on the patterns of women behavior, what to shame in order to get the most female support. If you have a lot of single mothers and you want maximum support, then you're going to appeal to your consumer base. This is where the mixing of religion and money causes a major issue. Because if you're going to appeal to like those who have the most money in that sense, then or if you're going for a democratic power, you're going to appeal to your largest voter base. And who's the largest voter base with the most voice? Well, single mothers living on welfare.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. So when it comes to that, what is your advice to a man that is constantly being shamed for, how do you say, having traditional values?
Well, this is what I do personally, and it's where I'll butt heads with some other people in the manosphere. You have to look at it very much of what benefits me. Because every single one of these shaming systems, they're not for your benefit, not anymore. They are for the benefit of the group. So you have to think, what benefits me personally? Long-term consequences, short-term benefits, long-term benefits. You got to look at it from that standpoint and then recognize when someone is trying to shame you into sacrificing yourself in the long term for their gain. This is where, like, Chris Mitchell and I butted heads a lot, because like he wants men to band together and do something. But of course, the people who want men to band together and do something, they're never specific. And we know that we can't say exactly what it is on YouTube. But when you try to tell people, hey, you know, don't go out and commit felonies in order to make a point, all that's going to do is shove your ass in jail and accomplish little to nothing. Well, then you get shamed, like, you're not a real man, you're a fed, you're a defeatist. Like, no. Now, I'm looking out for my ass, because none of y'all ain't going to do shit for me if my ass goes into prison. You're just going to shame the next man into joining me, and your asses ain't going to do it. So why the fuck should I put my life on the line when you haven't even thought of step 2 of your plan? Because that's the thing. Their plan is fucking step 1, get man to band together under whatever ideology they have. Step 2, step 3, save the nation. That's their fucking plan.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's the stupidest plan I ever heard. Like they really think they can do some leadership shit until it's time to be a leader, but they don't know what Plan B is.
No, they don't even have a plan A. They have step 1 of plan A, which is get a whole bunch of men together. But I'm willing to bet if I said, like, all right, I got 1 million men across the United States right now who will do whatever you say. What do you want? They have no fucking clue what they want.
I didn't think I was going to get this far.
Precisely. And that's why they're fucking useless.
It's crazy, man. If you're going to go and have these crazy ideas, you better go all the way. Plan A through Z, you better have some type of plan because people's lives are in your hands.
Yeah, and I guarantee you that when you actually corner them, step 2 is always going to be water the tree of liberty.
What does that mean?
Trying to avoid the algorithm picking this up, but there's no saying.
Oh shit!
The tree of liberty needs to be watered with.
Okay. I know what you're talking
Yes. About. Yeah.
Okay. I know
that's what it's gonna. That's what it's gonna have to be, and then of course you have to have the new people and then of course you have to have the replacement for after the watering is done. They haven't thought that far ahead. They're basically just trying to get a whole bunch of people riled up and then trusting that the angry mob will work itself out.
Which is fucking hilarious, right? Because they honestly believe that they're the next big thing until, once again, right, responsibilities and accountability. They have no idea what to do in either categories, and everything crumbles apart. And then this so-called leader or leaders act all dumb and confused on why they're walking to the gallows or they're about to go to the gulag.
That's why I reject like any of the shaming that comes from within the manosphere towards that regards, because like you don't have a plan. You have no idea what you're doing. I straight up say, look, you look at what is in your personal benefit because I want you to survive and thrive, because this shit's falling apart anyway. This shit's all gonna fucking fall apart because it is unsustainable as is, and every man that withdraws from the system chips away at the block. Like, the most effective way to do this, because there's going to be bloodshed, and it's going to be from an angry mob, but it's not an angry mob that's riled up because some guy on the internet's charismatic. It's going to be a whole bunch of angry people because they have nothing left to lose and everyone they care about is dying and starving.
All I know is there's going to be a bunch of people that's going to be running amok, no leader whatsoever. There's going to be horrible leaders leading these people into the slaughterhouse, figure of speech. And
it could be literal. Honestly, cannibalism's going to make a comeback.
Oh, true. But then there's going to be 1 or 2 people that actually knows what they're doing. But who knows what's going to happen at this point? Because, at which I will be talking about in the future, society, aka the government, they want men to be small, frail, weak, effeminate, emotional. They want men to be obedient, because a population is a lot easier to control if the men fit those categories. And if I'm trying to control a population, that's the type of population that I want. That's just me. I will want a bunch of men being weak, confused, frail, don't question my authority. But
that's the thing. Like, you want to become okay. You need to be able to judge a man's character, judge who's trustworthy, but above all, like, that's the thing. If I give you 2 men, one man cares absolutely nothing for your ideologies, but he is strong and intelligent. And there is another man who is weak and dumb, but is 100% behind whatever you will say. You can only have one. Which do you pick?
I will say the latter.
The one who's behind you 100%.
Even though he's dumb and doesn't know what he's doing, but he is behind my ideology 100%. Yeah, I'd rather take that person. If I was in a position, right, a position of power, I would rather have
Now,
that person.
here's where I actually disagree with that. I would take the man who does not give a rat's ass about my ideology because I can appeal to his self-interest.
How so?
Well, that's the thing. Like, you appeal to someone's self-interest. It doesn't matter what their ideology is. They're going to do what you want because it can benefit them.
But what if one day you're not able to fulfill their self-interest?
Oh yeah, then I'm fucked. But I'm going to get a hell of a lot more accomplished than having someone who's dead weight but is a blind idiot follower.
So it depends on the blind idiot follower. As the blind idiot follower is just a foot soldier, or the person that is one of your inner circle.
I'm assuming opposite extremes. I'm assuming competence versus fanaticism. You either have an incompetent fanatic or a competent pragmatist. I'd take the competent pragmatist any day because I can work out a mutually beneficial relationship.
It depends on his position as well. That's a big difference. That's a very big difference. I'm sure you can agree with that.
Well, position-wise,
is he a full
I don't know. I don't know. Well, no, that's the thing. I don't think it matters.
Really?
If you have if you have a mutually beneficial relationship, like, you can fucking work with people that personally you absolutely despise and disagree with, but you'll work together towards the same goal.
Well, I agree with that. Well, what I'm saying is there's a difference between the foot soldier and the person that's within your inner circle. I know there's many levels to it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Now, I do see where you're coming from, and I understand the appeal of prioritizing loyalty. But at some point, it just becomes like you have a yes man. You have someone who will just go with and agree with whatever you want, but they themselves don't actually provide any value beyond said loyalty.
So what you saying is you would rather have a top guy that how you say, he does his job, but he will disagree with you if he does believe that what you're doing isn't in the best interest of, the agenda.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't even have to be the agenda. Just his agenda.
Or
yeah, it's not. That's the thing. His agenda, and that's why. Because here's the thing. With the fanatic, yeah, sure, you can have someone who agrees with the agenda, but if they're not useful, then they're just dead weight that you have to feed and keep alive.
So wouldn't that be foot soldiers?
No, you have people like that in positions of power all the time.
Okay.
I think a better description would be a useful idiot.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Whereas, if you get a whole bunch of people who are all in there for their own self-interest, you can convince them, hey, it's better for us as a group if we work together here. You need me, I need you. Let's work some shit out here so that we both benefit, because us going separately or fighting each other isn't going to benefit either of us as much.
But I'd rather have my right-hand man be the person that's willing to disagree with me, or self-interest guy.
like ideally you'd have that perfect blend. I'm purely talking about the hypothetical extremes. But that's where, when it comes to like stuff in the manosphere, like I don't care how much someone is openly praising, like how much that they are all for it, how much they might say, "Oh yeah, I'm totally for the same stuff you are. We should work together." I'm like, what can you do that benefits me? Because if I'm going to be responsible for keeping your ass alive, you'd better have something that can benefit me beyond placating my emotions.
Well, shit, they can fight. I'm talking
Can they?
about soldier shit. Yeah, go for it. But if it's talking about strategic or operational level type
Yeet,
shit,
like I no, like that's like yeet. Think about like just because like maybe you're too used to the military, but
I
like
was
think
thinking,
of the modern U.S. military. Let me ask. Okay, let me ask you this: would you rather have a male soldier who disagrees with your current ideology, or a female soldier who worships your ideology?
oh, I didn't expect any females in my. Okay,
I think I'm going right to the extremes here.
okay.
Like I'm talking like fucking limp, like either female or limp-wristed crybaby soy boy.
Then I rather have the male soldier.
Yeah, because you can appeal to the self-interest and he's useful.
I'm just saying, if I put him in the, I'd rather put him in a higher position. I don't want no fucking lowly foot soldier trying to question my agenda. You know, but
Yeah,
if
no, but that's the thing.
sir,
Like someone who's highly competent, shit, you might even take a subservient position to them if they're that competent, so long as you're getting what you want out of it. Doesn't like to me, it doesn't matter if I'm the top dog or not. If I get what I want out of the relationship, who gives a fuck about the titles or the power position?
shit, I'm not trying to go out like Caesar. To
I
be
mean,
determined.
yeah, no, that's the thing. And the higher position you are, the more likely you got the sword of fucking Damocles. Like, oh, that's a great fucking
Shit.
story.
But hey, like, don't get me wrong. Like, hey, we can honestly, I would not mind having a conversation about this. Like, it'll be like an offlandish conversation about, you know, how you say hierarchy. Am I like, because we talked about hierarchy before, but we never really talked about hierarchy in specifics. I'm down to talk about that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like there's elements to it, but like this was the main thing that like if someone is trying to shame you into doing what they want, this is why I'm the strong advocate for focus on your own self-interest. Focus on what benefits you the most and think long term, because there's plenty of shit that'll benefit you in the short term but fuck you over in the long term. So you can't just go with whatever seems convenient at the moment. You do have to think bigger picture to really benefit yourself. And that might require you to maybe make short-term sacrifices, which I think of as investments.
I completely agree, man. And I'm gonna read this super chat real quick from Smash. $2 donation. Thank you very much, man. Leftists take this self-interest tactic with Muslims. So it depends. Are you talking about Muslim in the West, or are you talking about Muslims in Europe? Because I heard there's a lot of clash going on in Europe. Like a lot of clash. Of course, the West, we've been having clashes for a while per se, but in my opinion, it kind of died down.
Yeah.
When it comes
Well,
to
but that's the thing. Like when it comes to like the Muslims or the East Indians, yeah, you get a whole bunch of people taking this self-interest route because they bring them in because they want them as the serf class. Because like bringing in the Muslims is not so much about benefiting themselves. It's more about taking down their competition. Like all these people who are advocating for all this immigration, they see themselves as the new rulers. Like, they don't see themselves as having to compete with the Muslims. They were like, oh, hey, let's bring in a whole bunch of cheap labor. Like, it's the new fucking slave trade. Like, immigration is the new slave trade. Like, straight up. Like, that's all it is. They're bringing in a bunch of cheap fucking labor because they all think that, oh, well, if I bring in a whole bunch of cheap labor, then I won't be needed to do all this menial bullshit. I'll just get to stay at home and write propaganda for my communist master, and I'll have a cushy seat for the rest of my life. And that's all they think about. They all just want to fucking sit at their desk and write shit and contribute nothing of value. Meanwhile, the serf class, the slave class, gets to come in and do all that work for them. They're fucking idiots to think that that's how it's going to work in the long term, but that's how they think it's going to work.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to work in the long term. Yeah.
No, and that's why all this shit's going to fall apart. Because like they think it's going to work, because if these people had any concept of critical thought, then they wouldn't be preaching the shit that they preach. They are the useful idiots who just parrot what they are told. And they are rewarded for parroting what they are told.
I completely agree, man. But hey, I know we talked a lot of shit today, and we could definitely go a lot longer. I would like to go a lot longer, but do you have anything to say to the warband about this certain topic? You know, like,
I guess I'll triple down on it. Like, whenever someone tries to shame you, they are weak. Because someone who is strong does not need to use shame to get you to do what they want. The strong will do whatever the fuck they want, and they will command you, if you are weaker than them, to do what they please. And you will have to acquiesce. It is only someone who holds no power over you that will attempt to use shame. So you have to evaluate, is this something that adds to my power or subtracts from it? And I guarantee most of the time, it's going to be something that subtracts from your power.
I completely agree with that one, man. Like, it's gotten to the point these days where a lot of people, they like to overcompensate on what they can and cannot do in today's society, right? A lot of people, they think that they're big old, you know, mobsters or kingpins or all that other stuff until the big bad wolf comes in, and then they're just going to have to obey. They or die, you know. That's another choice. A lot of people, they don't comprehend, especially in the West, they don't comprehend how savage humanity can truly get when it comes to asserting dominance. They can't comprehend that.
No, and they don't receive the appropriate levels of pushback. Like, I think a couple of your shorts have been absolute proof of that.
Completely agree. We live in a very comfortable society. Very, very, very comfortable. But I guarantee you, if shit hits the fan, hypothetically, a lot of you guys, especially women, but a lot of you guys, it's not going to be a good time. It's not going to be a good time for all of us.
Well, to a certain extent, but the primary thing is like the first thing that has to happen is that the cops just like when 911 no longer works, there's a whole bunch of behavior that will no longer be tolerated.
Well, what happened in Texas is a good example. Also, what's about to go on in Illinois in 2023, where they're going to get rid of bail for various crimes up to second-degree murder.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know that's not going to be applied evenly.
It's going to be the purge, bro.
Nah, but that's the thing. But it's going to be the one-way purge. You're going to have certain people committing those crimes and being released without bail, and other people defending themselves against those crimes who will be locked up without bail.
I agree. And let's say that the people that commit second-degree murder, are they able to do that over and over again? That's not a question that's answered yet, but people suspect that people are able to do the same crimes over and over and over again. And in 2023 in Illinois, they'll be released, no bail, and they can just do it again.
That's the thing. You're going to get a whole bunch of people who will finally have to answer the question, would you rather be judged by 12 or carried by 6?
I got my firearms on me. I'd rather be judged by 12.
That's the thing. But a bunch of people, they don't have to answer that question. They think that they're safe. And it's like, no, you're going to have to answer that question. Because a bunch of people are like, well, if I just don't rock the boat and I keep my head down, then maybe they'll leave me alone. They're going to learn the hard way that no, you won't. So you better choose. Because quite frankly, if you'd rather be carried by 6, you may as well just take the quick way out, because no guarantee it's going to be quick and easy when they come for you.
I completely agree, man. But hey, we're going to end it here because I know that you're going to be busy very soon.
Yeah, gotta get back on that grind.
yeah, it's all good, man. I completely understand, Gray. Gentlemen, this is a very good live stream. I definitely enjoyed the conversation that I had with Gray, and I've seen you guys' comments as well. Thank you, everybody that decided to donate today. And hopefully you had a shit ton of gems dropped on you today. And if possible, I'll be doing a stream tomorrow, right? 3 days in a row. It's been a while, right? I am out. Peace.
Peace out, everyone.